Hi guys, welcome back to Liking Hiking. So I promised you a gear video and here it is finally. But I also have some very exciting news to share. So this summer, over the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, Courtney and I will be going off to hike Te Araroa, which is very hard to pronounce. I'm working on it, so I do apologize if it's not quite correct. But it translates to the long path. It's in New Zealand. It's from the very tip of the North Island to the very tip of the South Island, over 3,000 kilometers. So I am super excited. It's not very long now till we go. So as you can imagine, in the last few months, we have been working on dialing in our gear. So I've taken a lot of lessons that I learned from the Overland Track, and then changed up the small bits and pieces that I think might be more beneficial for Te Araroa. So yeah, let's get into it. So this is the gear that I'll be taking. So starting over here is my Z-Packs Arc Haul, which you have seen on all my adventures, and what it's laying on is a MacPack liner, which is basically just a heavy duty plastic bag. It's really long because it doubles as a survival bag. Well, actually I should say it was really long as it doubles as a survival bag, but I did cut it down, which is not recommended, but I did it anyway. I've got my Garmin InReach, which is essential to have some sort of emergency communication device, hand sanitizer, which is a must. I have normally hang on the outside of my pack, which is why they're sort of bunched together here, an airlight towel that's for drying my tent usually in the mornings, and then I hang it off my pack during the day to dry. I have a washing line, which is great to hang up anywhere, but it's actually in a Cedar Summit fly net bag, but repurposed. And then I have a second small towel there, which is for drying my cooking pot off. And that also normally hangs on the outside of my pack to dry during the day. However, they just declared La Nina, which is really wet spring and summer. So doing my drying off my pack may be wishful thinking at this point. For a sleep system, I've got the Flame 4, which I've had for ages. I'll link my review as well. You can watch that, but still love it. Best sleeping bag ever owned. I've got my Z-Packs Duplex, which I have had for ages as well. Absolutely love it. The space for weight ratio is just unbeatable. I am using 8 MSR Groundhog Mini steaks, and they're just in a little tent peg bag so that they don't poke hole in my tent. I have also the Thermarest Neo Air X Lite women's version, which is a bit smaller than the men's version, also a bit warmer, so definitely a pro on that. And then I have an Eros pillow as well. I also have, to add to my Thermarest, some pillow lock systems from Cedar Summit. So I just emailed them because I have a Cedar Summit pad, and said that they now come with that on them, but mine's so old it didn't. So I asked for some to retrofit, and they sent me like 4 separate ones. So I only need to use one. So it'll be going on my Thermarest to keep my pillow in place. Then moving right along, got food system, super important. So I have a Z-Packs food bag. I cannot remember what size it is. I'll have to link it. I will add my lighter packs list, so anything you're interested in, you can check it out there. I've tried to include most of the brand names, but we'll see. I've got another Dyneema dry bag as well for rubbish, because something I learned on the Overland is that rubbish just gets so stinky and gross. So if I can pack it away into a dry bag, it's just going to keep the smell down for pests as well. Which brings me to this lovely plastic bag. So it's a Nilo Pro, I think, plastic bag, but it's supposed to be odor proof or whatever, so put it inside the food bag, put all the food in there, and then hopefully I have my fingers crossed that my food will not get in by possums or rats or mice, because I think that's my biggest fear on the trail so far. I've got my cooking pot system, which I've had for ages. So it's basically just a titanium cook pot in a pot cozy. Fuel can and stove and lighter all fit in there as well. I have taken the fuel can and the lighter out ready for the plane already. So I've also cut a scourer. That's my stove. It's just a, I don't even know what it is, but it's a cheapy one, but it's small and light. I've got my windshield folded up in there as well. I've just cut like a little scourer down for cleaning, but also it will stop the rust from the bottom of the fuel cans, because they quite often rust on the bottom when you put them on the ground, from getting into my pot, so that will be nice too. My windshield is something I've updated recently to be ultra light, so I do have video on DIY windshield, but it's even better now. If I get the chance before I go, I'll show you how I've made it, but I'm running out of time. Might be a video for another day. I've also got a bit of a luxury item here, and I probably wouldn't take it if I was hiking on my own, but because there's two of us, I think it's worth it. So it's a AeroPress coffee maker. So we have the reusable filter in there as well, and we just take ground coffee, brew that up every morning. It may or may not be the only reason I get out of my tent in the morning. So just some miscellaneous more items over here. I carry 2 first aid kits, so don't panic, it's not overkill yet. But basically I carry like a mini first aid kit in my hip belt pocket with just stuff I might need like on the go, like painkillers, antihistamines, that kind of thing. A few band-aids, gauze pad for minor scrapes and injuries, so that I don't actually have to stop and open up my main pack. I normally also have some like betadine antiseptic in there, but it's not in there at the moment. And then I have my big first aid kit, which has an emergency blanket, a bandage, some larger tape, more gauze pads. It's also got some salt in there, just in case it can make up like a saline solution, good for infections, things like that. I have a needle. I'm also taking floss as well, so that's good for any repairs. Got about 3 meters of rope in there, so you can do a lot with that. Earplugs, which are essential. And I've also got the repair kit for the Thermarest in there as well. And in that stuff, that bag goes into this stuff sack, but I also keep my tech in there. So now I have a lot of tech because obviously I film my hikes, and I love to show them to you guys. So that's an important part of hiking for me. So most of this doesn't normally need to be carried. So I've got here my mic bag. Obviously I'm using some of it now, so it's not all there, but I've also got a 20,000 milliamp charger, headphones. I carry 2 USB-C to USB-C cords, one USB-A to USB-C cord, and a USB to, is it micro USB? I think the weirdly shaped one. Oh, you can't see it. But also a S Pen for editing videos, and then I also have a wall plug, which I'm also currently using, which has 2 USB-C ports and USB-A port. So yeah, that's to charge all my gear. And then I'll do food first. Oh no, hang on, where were we up to? Over here. This is my toiletries bag. So in here I have toothbrush, toothpaste, a comb, some wilderness wash that's like for everything. Normally I keep wipes in here, but I don't have any in here at the moment. And I think that's about it for in here. But yeah, just day-to-day toiletries. Oh yeah, moisturizer, because that is a must. So yeah, nothing too crazy there. And then toiletry bag, pretty self-explanatory, toilet paper and a deuce of spades. So yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary. Now this bag is my lunch and day pack. So I like to keep my stuff that I need for the day and lunch on the outside of my pack so that when I'm hiking I don't need to go into the main compartment of my pack throughout the day. So always have some antibacterial wipes in there, long-handled spoon, which then I'll take out at the end of the day and use for dinner as well, but it's great for getting tuna out of packets. I have my fly net in here in just a little plastic bag. I'm not sure whether the plastic bag will last, but to be honest, I'd be happy chucking it in the bag in no bag. So I don't know, we'll see how that goes. I've never used one before, but apparently on Te Araroa, the sandflies, I think, are just like crazy. So I don't know, we'll see. And then I've got my Gerber mini knife, which is fantastic for cutting cheese and avocado and everything else you need to cut. Then that brings me to my water. So this is probably the system I'm least thrilled with at the moment. I'm still tossing up because it's quite heavy. So I'm tossing up a few different options. If you've got any ideas or suggestions, let me know in the comments below. But basically, I've got my Seanock, I don't really know how you pronounce any of this stuff, 2-litre bag. The reason I bought this is because it has a nice big wide opening at the top, and then I can attach my Sawyer Micro, which, to be honest, I don't even know where it is, which is a bit of a concern. Sawyer Micro to this end and then filter it into my other water containers. So I do have my bladder because I love using a water bladder when I'm hiking, just because having the hose right there, I'm more likely to drink water and less likely to get dehydrated. But it's quite a heavy system, so that's what I'm not sure about. I could swap it out for a drink bottle and just run with that, which will be a lot lighter. I'm just a bit worried if I use the drink bottle that I'm not going to drink as much water, so I'm really not too sure. I'm still weighing it up. Every day I think something different, but if you've had experience with either system, please let me know the pros and cons of each. And then I have another collapsible water bottle with a lid that will also backwash the Sawyer Micro if I need to. And this is my like clean water only one. So yeah, I have the Sawyer Micro with the cleaning backwash coupling, but I've lost it, which is a bit of a concern. So yeah, that's basically it gear-wise. Kind of brings us on to clothing, which I have so much. So I've got sandals, Tevas. They're not super light. The reason I chose these though is it is possible, because they're quite well supported, they've got quite a good sole, to do short amounts of hiking on appropriate terrain. So that's kind of why I chose them above other more lighter sandals, is there is that option to actually use them for hiking shoes. Only for very short distances on appropriate terrain. Guys, don't panic. I'm definitely not one of those people who hikes the whole trail in sandals. I got my sunnies, sunscreen, that's an absolute must for New Zealand in summer. Rain gear, which I feel like is going to be getting a lot of use this year. So this is another one where I'm like not 100% sure what I'm starting with. It will be with what I'm finishing. So I've got some MacPack rain pants. Honestly, I can't remember exactly which ones. These I think will be fine. I've tried them on. I've never had to use them yet though, so I guess we'll see. I've got some rain mitts, which for me are an absolute must because my hands just get absolutely freezing. I feel the cold so easy. And then I do have the Z-Packs Vertice rain jacket, which is very lightweight. So I'm a bit worried that some of the more rugged sections, it may get damaged or it may just not be enough. So I'm going to start out with that one, but if it's not working for me, I'll just pick something else up along the way and send that one home. So basically all my clothes are kept in, you can kind of see underneath here, a collapsible Cedar Summit backpack. It is a dry bag as well. The reason I'm taking a backpack is if I want to do some slack packing or just taking stuff into towns for washing and all that kind of thing. It's super easy in a backpack. So I just keep all my clothes in there. I've got thermals for camp, merino leggings and top. I do carry an extra fleece, which is normally what I use as another layer of warmth when hiking if it's cold, because if the fleece gets wet, it still retains its warmth, I guess, like warming factor, which is why I choose the fleece over the down jacket for hiking. So the down jacket I use only in camp. And then I've got a mask because COVID's still a thing. Now, I'm still tossing up 2 or 3 pairs of socks. Happy to hear your opinions. My theory is wash one, wear one, dry one. We'll see. And same for undies as well. And basically, I also have, these are more luxury items that I'm packing that probably aren't needed, but they're needed for me to have an enjoyable experience. So I'm packing a MacPack dress. The idea for this is it can be used for hiking. It can also be used as an outfit in town while I'm washing everything else. So it's definitely got lots of options for that, which I'm really happy for. And then I've also got some Nike Pro little shorts as well, because I found on the Overland it was quite a lot warmer, and New Zealand can be quite warm in the summer as well. Just having an extra pair of shorts to put on at camp or to use for swimming is just so nice. That kind of brings me on to just my colder weather gear. So obviously the temperatures can vary quite a lot and quite suddenly as well. So basically I'm packing for, you know, high 20s all the way down to snow. So it's quite versatile, I guess. I've got my buff, which I use all the time. And I've also got some MacPack gloves. They're the tech ones that are supposed to be able to use with your phone as well. But I find they never really work properly. But they're super light and they're just warm enough to take the chill off, but not too heavy or thick. And then finally, I've got my beanie, which is quite thick, but I get so cold, which is why I packed extra clothes, because you pack your fears. Anyway, I don't listen to my own advice. That kind of just brings me to the stuff that I hike in, which, I mean, you guys have seen me wear. So just a pair of shorts and a long sleeve shirt. The long sleeve shirt's already on its way out, so I'm not sure how long that's going to last, but I thought let's not be wasteful, and I think I've spent enough money already. So I'm going to start out in this, but I'm sure I'll get a new one along the way. Same deal with the shoes. So they're just my Ultras. I've worn them for a couple of seasons now. They're definitely not anywhere near the end of their life, but they're definitely not anywhere near the beginning. So I'm hoping they will last me to Auckland, but we'll see. Otherwise, I don't know, it could get a bit interesting. I've got my super dorky hat, which is the wide brim, but it also has the like cap bit at the front so it doesn't go all floppy. But it's easy to wash, this one, so that's why I packed that one. And then gaiters too, which I've had for ages, but have only just started wearing, and I love them. They dry out super quick, they stop all the stones, and also sand from going in my shoes. So we did go back and do a little weekend. I didn't film though, back at the end of the hike somewhere there was that beach walking section. And I used these gaiters then, and oh my goodness, lifesaver. So guys, that's a summary of the gear that I am taking If you have any suggestions, thought, ideas, especially on how I can make it lighter, that would be greatly appreciated. I mean, I'm calculating my base weight at the moment to be around 8.8 kilos, which is about a kilo heavier than what I want it to be. However, I do recognize that I'm taking quite a few luxuries that probably don't need to be taken, and the price you pay for that is a heavier base weight. So the luxuries to me feel essential now. Whether they will still feel essential once I'm started and I actually have to carry this thing every day, it might be a completely different story. So in terms of Te Araroa, I am definitely planning to update with regular videos, also photos on Facebook, Instagram. We're also looking at starting a little blog, so if that's something that you prefer to read, then definitely follow along. So check us out, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, obviously, subscribe. And then you can keep up with our journey. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit tricky to edit videos along the way, but I'll do my absolute best. And yeah, probably the next time you'll see us will be on trail. So as always, guys, keep on liking hiking.